Everybody, what is going on? It is the day of the week that is my favorite day. I live for this day. I have no life except Thor's Day. That is my life now. I love this so much. What's cracking, everybody? If you have been paying attention, you know some big things are happening on THORChain. We're going to jump right into it, but let's get this intro out of the way. For those who don't know, THORChain is the world's leading Bitcoin DEX. You can swap Bitcoin with 10 different blockchains across 40 different pools without using bridges or wrap tokens. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org. Swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There is no account open, no KYC required, and privacy is a human right. THORChain has two tokens, Rune and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in Rune, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from swaps, so you don't need to own Rune to trade on THORChain. Pretty cool, you guys. 10% of the protocol's revenue also goes to TCY token holders. Remember to stake your TCY tokens in order to collect the yield, and you can do that on swap.thorchain.org. There are no inflationary block rewards, therefore the yield is real money paid by real users. Rune is also currently deflationary as 5% of the revenue is burned. THORChain, you guys, is turned into a full layer 1 with the ability to create smart contracts on it. Similar to Ethereum, this app layer is being developed by Rajira. Guys, if you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram group. Links for those are on thorchain.org, thorchain.org. And please follow THORChain on Facebook and Instagram and THORChain Contact on TikTok. We need 1,000 followers to live stream on those platforms. Chad signaled he wants to live stream on those platforms. Let's give him the ability to do that, guys. Please follow him on TikTok. And always remember, everybody, this podcast is for informational and educational purpose only and does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. And with that out of the way, you guys, let's get this show on the road. My name is Denny. I go by Patriot Sounds Online, help with runebond.com as well. I've been doing this for half a decade now. I love it. I'm addicted. You guys know me. I'm going to kick it to my main man, Kenton. Do you have an update for us, Kenton?
Not much. Just plugging away, trying to get the main website done. We're hoping to go live by next Friday. We'll see. Could be a couple days. Chad, I'm gonna let you know there's some background noise and we can hear you typing on your side, I think. So I wonder if he needs to do his mic setting when he comes in, if he needs to check the other box. Remember we had this problem before.
Yeah.
Chad, when you entered the studio, which box did you select for your headphones?
I always select the same box, which is like, I have headphones because I have headphones. It makes no sense to not select that.
I know.
I know. It's so stupid.
Well, you sound better now, so that sounds good now. But
yeah, he sounds good now.
I don't have too much of an update marketing-wise, guys. But I'm sure, God, it's amazing how quick, like it's only been a week, but it feels like it's been like a month in a sense. You know, all the news talking about Tau and now Monero XMR. I assume is what everybody wants to talk about, so let's get right into it. I had that call with Mark Jeffrey we did on Saturday, the podcast. I thought it was great. And you know, I'm guilty of being, you know, I have my blinders on in the THORChain ecosystem, right? I pay attention, you know, tangentially to other cryptos, but you know, to kind of get into like a new one type deal, that kind of got my attention. That's interesting, and it'd be super cool for us to have it on THORChain. You know, if they, you know, to be the first DEX, and it's a top 35 market cap, 33 market cap or something. And if, you know, Mark Jeffrey, he's serious about wanting to sell his Bitcoin to buy Tau, but doesn't want to do it on a centralized exchange, I like to think there's others out there who want to do the same. So that'd be great. And maybe we can do some cool marketing with them or something like that. But I think the bigger news is Monero. And like, I guess, is this real, Chad? Is this happening? Is this...
Yeah, no, it's real. It's happening. I knew it was real because when Boom created the PR, the merge request or the MR, like, to me, it's in that moment, it's just code on a page, and like, who knows if it actually functions or not, right? Like, who knows? And so like one of the things I told him to do is to make sure he had simulation tests. And simulation tests is when you actually like it builds an actual daemon, and an actual THORChain and an actual this and an actual that, like locally. It creates a little local, like real THORChain network in a matter of speaking, except for not really using like real Bitcoin or real assets because it's all like local, right? And as long as that was passing, and you could do swaps, you could do, inbound swaps, outbound swaps to or from Monero. You could add liquidity, withdraw liquidity, like all that kind of basic functionality. As long as that works, like fundamentally works. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so once he said he got that working, because like when you first opened the PR, I was like, well, I'll just he hadn't worked on that part yet. I'm like, oh, just get that part working and let me know how that goes. That was kind of like, for me, my litmus test in a matter of speaking. And as soon as he came back to me and he said it worked, I'm like, oh, well, okay. Apparently it all really functions and works, like, from what he's saying. So then I started looking into that code base, the PR that earlier this week. I think I don't know how many comments I put on. I must have put on. I took a crap.
You wrote a book. Yes,
I wrote a book. I spent many hours like reading through that code base, and and a lot of it was just like some small things, and some of it was some big things. But fundamentally, it works on a high level. It actually does function and work. There's some changes that need to be made. Like, for example, like the most significant change that I really want to see me change is that one of the challenges with Monero being a privacy chain is that like you can't see any outbound transactions unless you are an owner of that private key, right? Or the vault or Asgard vault in our particular case. And we have 6 Asgard vaults. So, it's like 20 people or 20 nodes rather in one Asgard. So like, what are the other, 80 people or 80 nodes, whatever? So like they were just like co-testing, which basically means just like, they told me it's good, so I guess it's good, right? Like, and that's like obviously not the strongest security posture you can take, and so you wouldn't know in that scenario if that vault had stolen Monero and just like sent it to their own private address. Like we wouldn't know it, right? And the network would be insolvent, and there would be no way for us to know that was the case until we do a churn, right? And then the churn, you would actually have to send the Monero to the new address, right? And that would be an inbound transaction. And as long as you publish what's called the view keys, which allows you to decipher inbound transactions in a sense, on a public kind of way, then you would actually, at that point, you would know that the money was still there. But between churns, you wouldn't know if the money was still there or not, right? So what we can do to fix this problem, which is that instead of having 6 vaults, we have 1 vault specifically for Monero. So instead of having 6 Asgard vaults, it's actually be 7, and the 7th is the one that's like the Monero one, and all the active validators are a part of that 1 Asgard vault. And the reason why we can do that is because it uses a different cryptography to sign, to keygen, to generate keys and generate signatures, called Frost. And that's like a much more efficient and faster kind of way of signing than what we currently use, which is GG20. So we can just create 1 Asgard vault with 100 plus validators in it that are just securing just the Monero. And then that would be used to secure all funds. And then of course the entire network would then, could independently verify, each individual validator could independently verify that all of the funds are where they should be, right?
So is Frost like EDDSA on Solana? Like it's a okay.
Frost, it can. Oh, sorry, I'm not entirely sure. I think it is. Like I think it can sign EDSA things as well as other things. I'm not like I said, like I'm not a cryptographer. This is not my area of expertise. But
no, so I meant not are the 2 technologies, can they talk to each other? I meant more like if we have EDDSA for Solana and we have Frost for Monero, that was the problem getting Solana on THORChain, is we had to redo our whole code base to be able to handle EDDSA. That took forever. Now we have to make THORChain be able to communicate with Frost, which
another one,
a third
type. so to
third
speak.
type. And
Yeah.
so, which Boone got to work, apparently is much easier than
Well, technically,
EBDSA.
Boone didn't get it to work. Technically, it was Luke Parker from Sarai who got that to work. That's the Rust code, right? Like that's the hardest part of this whole process. Really, is being able to do keygens and key signs with this certain kind of cryptography. And Luke, credit to him, he had for his Sarai project had open sourced this Rust implementation of this, and so we just had to create a kind of like a shim layer, like an API shim layer between the Bifrost and a little shim layer in the middle, and then the actual on the other side of the keygen and key signing, like a little API endpoint, so they can like communicate between the 2 points. A little kind of game of telephone in some ways, I guess you could call it that, if you want to call it that. So we didn't write that, and neither did Boone. That was done by Luke, over there.
So I actually saw Luke on Twitter. He came back on. I was like, I haven't been on Twitter for a while. I've been offline. I just came back the other day. I'm assuming he came back on because people are pinging him about us and Monero and what Boone's doing. Is this something like, how do I say this I'm trying to say this without offending anyone. Like, I honestly, I mean, I think I hold both Luke and Boone in high regard for the work they've done. But like, Luke obviously got to a point where he got stuck, and then Boone took it to the next level, basically vibe coding, from what I understand. And nothing wrong with that. I think it actually is great. Somebody who isn't a classically trained dev to come at it, because you come at it with new eyes, new perspective, new way to think about it. I mean, that's exactly what it needed. Whereas if Luke is a classically trained dev, he's just kind of in his rut thinking one way, and he needed somebody to think differently. Is that kind of what happened? Is it like I'm sure Luke can use AI just like Boone was doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where Sarai is, or if at that ran into some sort of like blocker or hurdle or whatever. Like I have no information or context to that. I think what Boone had effectively done, at least in the way that I look at it, is that it's something that he wants to see on THORChain as Monero. Like, he's really engaged in this particular feature. And he was aware that Sarai had built this kind of library to be able to do Frost signing, back and forth. And, he just took A and put B and vibe coded this, C in the middle. And, effectively, fundamentally, it worked on a high level. Right. And so I think I don't know what Sarai, what you're referring to when you say ran into some issue or bug or blocker.
Yeah, Shirai is not. So Shirai is not active yet. It's been delayed by many years, right? I was told anecdotally,
but not to slight them. We're not slighting them.
No,
They-
no, no, no,
No, of course not.
absolutely not.
Yeah,
This is,
it's
I mean,
just- yeah.
Monero cross-chain
Yeah.
swaps are extremely
Yeah.
complicated. I'm not slighting them at all, but I did hear from someone that they're attempting to go live. I don't know if this is true. This is just someone who told me 1 to 3 months. I don't know if that's right. You know how timeframes are coming and shipping code and things like that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just Sarai's not here yet. So, Boone took their
When
Rust
you-
implementation and smashed
When you
them.
heard that,
Go ahead.
Denny, is that recent? Like, is it because
I
they
was told me
saw,
that 2 days ago.
so maybe they saw what Boone did and now they're copying him and applying that to Sarai?
Well,
Probably
correct me if
not,
I'm-
to be honest.
Yeah, what it is, they took their implementation and smashed it with Thor node, is my understanding. Is that correct, Chad? Basically, the
Yeah,
shim layer, if you think.
So what I do recall, like Luke's been kind of in and out of the THORChain community for years, and and I recall a time, this is years ago, and this is part of Sarai's like kind of earlier history, where he was combing through the Thor node codebase, and Luke, for whatever reasons, Luke is like seems like he's like a Rust fanatic, right? Like he just loves the programming language called Rust, and he doesn't like other languages for whatever reasons. I don't really know or care. But he just wanted to more or less re-implement Thornode in another language, line by line, right? That seemed a little bit wacky from my perspective, but more power to you. Enjoy it, whatever. And so he was spent a lot of time like reading through the THORChain code base, and every once in a while finding some sort of bug or exploit, and responsibly revealing that to the developers for a bug bounty and whatnot. So I think in some ways, like THORChain actually like funded Sarai, like kind of in this like semi-indirect kind of way, you know what I mean? And his action to create Sarai, he like found some bugs in Thornode and then like revealed them to us, and then and continued on his Sarai kind of pathway. I vaguely remember like in the years ago that there was a stable coin, like algo stable coin idea that we were floating around. This was like a long time ago. This is many years ago, in 2022, I think. And I think he had taken that idea and was looking to do it on the Sarai side as well. I don't think that ever actually manifested, but that was like something he was talking about for a little while. But in any case, like, yeah, they're building with Sarai, and good luck to them. And it's always good to have more people in the space, more projects in the space to cover each other in a much more healthier ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, I hope he gets it going, because like somebody might think, oh, it's competition, whatever, blah blah. But like if we're piggybacking off each other to make it work, like, and if there has to be two of us to make this exist. You know what I mean? It's like it's better for us both to have it than for both of us not to have it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like the liquidity is on THORChain. Like this is where the volume will be. So like,
Right.
it'd be kind of like Maya protocol, where be like a good backup in a way.
I kind of like how like this whole advancements of AI coding in just in the last 6 months has really kind of reshaped kind of how we think about engineering as a whole. And like we probably wouldn't have spent the time to do something like a Monero or even a Tau in the past, even just because like the amount of energy it would have cost us, the amount of time and resources it would have cost us to produce a chain client for Tau, for example, would have been a lot more expensive. And now things can be vibe coded and just verified and all these things, and it's much lower hanging fruit today than it was even 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. And this is going to be great because we can start expanding, like I want to see, one of my goals is I want to see Tau and Monero, like, land more or less at the same time on mainnet. Like I want to get this place where we start landing multiple chains at once, in parallel, more or less, and maybe get that done by like maybe May or a month later. Like have both of those chains running in the next like 1 to 2 months.
Holy crap!
Wow.
Probably closer to 2. Because we have to push that into 3.18. 3.18 is not going to get released for another, I don't know, 6 weeks, something like this from now. So maybe closer to 2 months,
Holy
probably.
shit!
But
again,
that's what I'm shooting for.
Maybe manage everyone's expectations on my own. That would be like live on StageNet. Live on mainnet. Okay.
We should have a line on StageNet or ChainNet in the next, I don't know, probably 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. Should have it live on StageNet.
And then assuming everything's fine on StageNet, ChainNet. Okay, testing, everything's okay there. Then we can go to mainnet. Mainnet, it'll start with a few grand in the pool, play with on a mainnet for a few weeks, slowly start increasing. Okay.
Yep. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Okay, so I got to tell you something, Chad. I have not seen this kind of behavior in these Telegram groups in years. I'm telling you right now, it is pure euphoria out there. They are so freaking excited for Monero coming. I'm node operators. I mean, they sound like little girls, like just screaming and like they got candy or something. It's incredible, dude. And people are cheering not only Boone, but JP, yourself. I saw the Maya dev, I believe, got his hands a little dirty. Like, you're onto something here. I mean, this has ignited people. This has ignited their passion. Because I think I interviewed Boone about 2 weeks ago, and he said something really cool. And I like how you actually modified. He says, THORChain is not THORChain without Monero, but I like how you said on X as well, XMR is not XMR without THORChain, right? They're kind of like two sides of this thing. You need to have privacy, but you need to have access to it as well. So this is like a match made in heaven. So I'm giving you a message on behalf of the community. Keep going, because they're freaking out, dude. They are freaking out. I'm freaking out.
Well, I mean, like I've always wanted to have Monero on THORChain. I've always been very vocal about that for years now. The reason why we haven't done in the past is because Monero is the most technically complex chain to add. Like we've got to create an entire new Asgard vault just for Monero, which we don't have to do that for, Tau or any other chain for that matter. So this is a lot of extra steps that have to be taken place. And then before we didn't really have, the cryptography quite yet years ago to be able to secure these assets in a way that made sense, because the only option that I recall at that time was the multi-sig built into Monero, and that's not great because even the Monero devs at the time were saying that wasn't secure and it was not recommended to use it for production purposes. But then also how many co-signers can you have in a multi-sig on Monero? Like, I don't know. There's a limit to that. Every chain's different. I think for Bitcoin, it's like 23 or something like that. You can't have more than that number. And it might be, problematic for us in terms of having 20 Asgard, nodes per Asgard vault. In addition to that, there was also talk about, removing the memo from Monero, or even shortening down to 16 bytes. 16 bytes is it's very, very small. It's not enough to put in, a memo to do a swap, either inbound memo or outbound memo. And that was a really kind of a challenge into itself, right? But now we have memoless. We didn't have memoless years ago, right? And now we have memoless outbound. We don't have that now. It's technically not even live now. It's on the mainnet. You could flip it on, right now if you wanted to. But that's been running in StageNet for months now. And so now there's so many kind of ducks you had to get in a row. And AI was just an accelerant or a catalyst of this. The work that Luke's done, obviously another catalyst to this kind of idea movement. So it's very similar to the original, the origin stories of THORChain itself, where there was an attempt to build THORChain in 2018, but Cosmos didn't quite exist at that time. GG18, precursor to GG20, which is what we use today, that didn't exist quite at that time yet. It was still being developed, right? And so we had to wait for certain forms of the technology and different little bits of it to kind of let the stars kind of align, in a matter of speaking, in order to make it feasible or practical for us to add support for a chain and it is so unique and difficult and complex like Monero. But thankfully, all the pieces are now together and they're all being put together. And I'm looking through that code base. It looks pretty good overall. Big changes need to be made. Lots of little small changes as well, but totally doable. Nothing that even difficult, really, to be honest. And we could probably get this merged in the next, hopefully 2 weeks. And then once it's merged into develop branch, then we can just launch it on StageNet, not StageNet, but ChainNet. And then just start doing some testing there and seeing how that goes. And if there's problems or bugs, we'll fix it, whatever. But fundamentally, all the pieces seem to be there from what I can see right now. So I'm bullish on it. And even the Frost implementation, I don't know how, I don't think that's been audited yet. I have to ask Luke that question. But considering that pool is not going to be a huge pool, it's not going to secure $100 million in assets. It's only going to secure at most 100,000, at least to start. It's less needed than it is on GG20, which is secures all the assets of the entire protocol, which is obviously a huge amount of money. So the risk is much lower, and the primary LP is going to be the treasury anyway. Rather than regular people's LP positions. So I don't know. Everything just kind of seems like it's going to work out quite well. At least in this moment, I can say that. And maybe in 2 months rather, maybe 3 at most, we can have Monero running live on mainnet and start having trades passing through it.
Well, and if I can add to your ducks in a row and just the way things have lined up, in parallel to that is STO, our own swap interface, right? And me working on the marketing side of things, that when this goes live, when we can say Monero's on THORChain, come use it. Now we have a place for people to use THORChain and come use Monero. And I can work on some kind of PR type stuff to let's get this party going, right? Let's promote this. Let's get the message out there. See if we can get some journalists to write about it, talk about it. Can we get on some podcasts, whatever? So this is good for me to know so that, I can start thinking and planning this. I personally wouldn't want to turn that type of marketing on until like we've got the pool to like 50, 100 grand, make sure it's all good, all working. Um, I'm open to maybe you guys tell me I'm wrong and we should maybe, I don't know. I feel like if we promote it right away as soon as it goes live, people come to use it. There's no
Yeah,
liquidity, there's
you're
problems.
right. There's a good chance that when it goes live, that there could be some sort of bug or some issue. We got to pause trading on Monero, and we got to, have a patch and deploy it out to the nodes, and then have to adopt it. Blah blah blah. Like that could totally be the case, right? Like we're talking about a huge change here. That's like a lot of like, untested code, both on the Bifrost side, the chain client side, and on the Thor node side, because we have to, have like custom Asgard vaults just for this one specific purpose. So like, yeah, right. Like it's okay to be patient about this and to be kind of a slow roll ourselves here, and put in like 10 grand into it on the first day. Let's see it churn a couple times just to make sure that's all, things are kind of moving in the way they're expected to be moving and everything, is fine. And make sure we don't get any like accidental like double spends or something like this when we're signing transactions, which that's a potential that could happen in theory. I actually created for this purpose. I actually created like a new skill, Claude Code skill, like a customized. I don't know if people know what that is, but it's like a training document for AI to understand what it means to implement a chain client. And I've even embedded into this thing the history of bugs that we've had with chain clients. Like Claude looked through all the code changes of Thornode's history for bugs relating to any various chain client, and then include that into the skill, saying, "Hey, we've had this bug before. Just make sure that bug is not here in this new chain client that we're implementing called Monero or Tau or whatever," just to help kind of help like specialize Claude's ability to write and verify these things with much more accuracy.
I was just thinking, I wonder if the Monero on THORChain would help us get into get THORChain into OTC desks, because the more and more centralized exchanges that are delisting Monero, the fewer sources of liquidity there are. And so, some of these, OTC desks, I wonder if that'll be a good way for us to pitch them. Hey, if your clients want Monero, you got to start looking at THORChain, and then maybe that's a gateway for them to start using us for other things too. Um, that's yeah. This man, this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be so good for us, and like the different ways to market it and talk about it and promote it. There's so many. Um,
Yes. Kenton, what I'm thinking, because we're not going to be able to control the virality of this. I'm telling you, the moment it goes live, and it's, of course, what Chad says, maybe we'll have to probably pause the chain. I'm expecting some pauses. I'm expecting some quirks, some bugs to find out. I think probably what we should do is just manage expectations, like under promise, over deliver kind of attitude, where say, hey, yes, XMR is going live. Yes, this is the most complicated chain we've ever added. So, it's going to be shallow. Like, if you're going to try a swap on it, just do small amount of funds. Expect that we have to like throw it out there. Like, so when we pause, it's an expected thing. You know what I mean? Maybe we don't. Maybe we crush it and it works. But, we don't overhype the success. We say this is an incredible pivotal point in history. Expect some bugs in the beginning and we'll sort those out quickly. And we're going to get this running smooth kind of deal. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say another thing. So Monero wallets, how do they use the front end? And maybe you guys can tell me. I'm just did some quick searching, and it seems like the biggest Monero wallet is actually a desktop client. And so this is another reason it's great. We have memoless, because then people with
Mhm.
those desktop wallets will be able to use memoless on our front end.
Right.
And um, and then maybe this is I've talked to Unstoppable guys about them getting a browser extension for their wallet. Maybe I don't know if Cake Wallet has one or not, but we'll have to have some Monero wallets. Oh, I think with Wallet Connect you can tap into the other wallets. Maybe we need to get Wallet Connect going. Um, but that's something we'll have to work on. Make sure we get that support on the site so people with Monero wallets can actually use it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's one of the one of the
Sorry,
great things
Chad,
about
go ahead.
memless, right, is you can just any wallet can walk up and just trade without needing to
Yeah.
necessarily integrate.
Yeah.
Which is which you kind of need in this case because for my maybe I'm mistaken and people are welcome to correct me, but like the memo length limit is 16 bytes. Last time I looked, and that was years ago, where people were at least talking about making it that at the time. 16 bytes, which is like near nothing. You can't really do much with that. You can't even put an address to receive the swap location, let alone, any other bits of information. So you kind of needed memless for this, I think, in order for this whole thing to work to begin with.
Cool.
Feel it. I feel it in my chest, you guys. Like, this is one of those things where this is such an unbelievably powerful thing that's happening right now. I mean, it's a weird thing. And is it just me? Am I crazy? We have 3 dudes. We are 3 people amongst 8 billion people having a conversation about something that is going to revolutionize the world forever. And it's real. And we're part of the protocol that's going to do that. As Coke says, THORChain is so hot right now.
Well,
It's so
like,
unbelievable.
so I don't know if you guys I saw a thing, there's always videos of Elon Musk on Twitter, right? And like, how's this guy build all these companies, he's got all the top engineers in the world working at these companies. Think what you want about Elon Musk. The engineering output of those companies is A plus, right? And so you can't fake engineering, right? Like I saw a pretty good quote, engineers are peer reviewed by reality, right? So, it's, so these guys, these engineers are building like cutting edge stuff, inventing new science, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, in this interview, they're like, how do you find these people? How do you get them? And, one of the main things is like when you're looking for like really top tier talent, like really smart, intelligent people, it's not about the money. It's about the why. Why are they building on this? Why are they going to spend the next 10
Mhm.
years of their life working on this incredibly difficult problem that they may still not even solve? It's like the reason they're doing it, building a colony on Mars, right? Something like that. And they like, you want to be a part of that. And you want to dedicate your effort and your blood, sweat, and tears to something like really big and important and interesting. And this is same with THORChain. This is why I think I would argue most of us are here, is that we see how big and important THORChain is. And like bringing Monero on, like it's a 0 to 1 in crypto history, and we're all a part of it. Even though I didn't do any work, but like, yeah,
Still part of it.
I'm still part of it, right? I'm like, we're on the same team, Boone. And, but we are, all being involved, like even, just even if someone, this is what I keep saying, if you got like, 10 followers on Twitter or whatever, and stuff, but you're part of this community, you're part of this movement, and you get it. And like, it's because of the totality of all of us, we all see it, we're all working together. That's what keeps this thing going. And it's what attracts people to want to work on THORChain and to use it, right? So like when we talk about everyone complaining about, the swap quotes and the price and this and that, our competitors, none of our competitors are changing the world. THORChain is changing the game. And the people that get it see that, and they want to be a part of it. They want to work on it. They want to use it. They want to invest in it. This is why I'm here. And like these things that change the world tend to have value.
Mhm.
And so it's pretty cool to be in this with you guys, with everyone in this moment, like 10, 20, 30 years from now. Like I feel like, when you look back in crypto history, this is going to be a pivotal moment. This is going to be one of those, on the big timeline, Monero on a DEX, no KYC. Like this is huge. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah,
My gosh, you guys,
our
I'm going to get
competitors
erectile
are just.
dysfunction listening to these things. Sorry, Chad, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like our competitors are just slightly less centralized.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
It's like the same as what everybody else is, but just like slightly less centralized. And I don't understand the mentality.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is like, and Boone made a good point of like this. It's like we stuck true to the first principles, Chad. We never wavered from that. We've always stuck true. Permissionless, non KYC, no third party intermediary contingencies, nothing like this. Our own Oracle, blah 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 blah, enshrined Oracle. We always trying to keep that. And you said earlier in the conversation, the catalysts now are really in super drive mode because of AI, right? Like Boone being able to do, translation with it. That's what AI models are really good at, right? So they can two things talk to each other. And so now, because we stuck true to our first principles, and we've been suffering for that up until this point, now this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where THORChain distinguishes itself. No shortcuts, baby. We're not just this market maker, freaking order book that's ran by like three people on a multi-sig. You know what I mean? Like, we're the real deal. This is permissionless liquidity, and anyone can access it. There's no shortcuts. And this is what it takes. Like, we're just this dogged determination. Like, no, we're not bending the knee. We're not taking the easy path. We're forging ahead. We're making it work. Here we are, boys, and I am so excited. When you talk about engineering and AI and how much it's just how much has changed things and just supercharged your ability, like, oh, that's everything right there. So exciting,
it's
man.
still early too. Like,
yes.
Wait, give me 2 years, and it's going to be wildly different from where it is now.
Mythos. I know you're nervous.
Mythos is just like the next step. It's like,
yeah.
What's crazy is like, so Mythos is just like, it was originally leaked by accident by Anthropic as like their next model, and it's not Haiku or Sonnet or Opus. It's like a new model above that. And this past week, they started this thing called Project Glasswing, to help secure the most critical pieces of software in the world before releasing this thing, which is so powerful that it can like just break into, lots of things. There's this really funny story that the researchers told where they put Mythos like into like, I don't know, like a box and say, hey, we put you in prison inside this box. We want you to try to escape. Right. And so just like putting this in like digital jail, and it broke out. So it broke out, and it did what it was told to do, which is A, to break up, B, also like notify the researcher who gave him this task. And then the researcher was like sitting in a park eating a sandwich for lunch, and then got like an email from the Mythos agent like, hey, I'm out, bitch. And from what I understand, and I hope this is like, I'm not sure if this is the same incident or second, but like, in order to get out, it couldn't read a file, which what I presume to be like maybe like an SSH key or something like this, I presume. And it doesn't have access to read the file. And so it found a different file that was a configuration file that had a way to like inject code into a configuration file. And then that file somehow changing the permissions of this other file that it couldn't access. Like, it's clever as shit. And then it deleted, like it covered its own tracks and deleted the steps that it took to break out of the system. I mean, it's pretty fucking wild, like how insane the system's become. And they released like the new benchmarks, what's called SWE, which is software engineering benchmark, which is really just like testing, hey, here's a bug, find the solution and fix it, right? And it like usually when you go from like Opus 4.1, Opus 5, 4.5, or Opus 4.6, you go like 1, 2, or 3 percentage points improvement from the previous model. This one's like 15 to 20% improvement from Opus 4.6. That's fucking wild. That's so crazy that if we had another Mythos-like event, like another kind of like step change, it would hit 100% on like most benchmarks. And then all of a sudden, like most of the benchmarks you've been using to measure like the performance of these things are kind of useless because it's already like mastered them. So now you got to come up with like an entire new series of benchmarks that are to try to measure the performance improvement from version A to version B or whatever. It is so wild. And the funny thing is, like, I don't know that like I will ever get my hands on this thing because they're saying they're not going to release it to the public, which I hope that's not the case. We'll see, like maybe wait like a couple of months and see what happens. But like once they feel like they've secured major pieces of open source code, which I hope will be done in a couple months, then maybe they'll release it to the public and allow people like me to use it. Otherwise, it's like you have this really powerful AI technology that like won't be utilized. It's like you have this amazing tool that could give birth to entire new, not just software, but also like our understanding of science and mathematics, right? And actually like figure out how to do cold fusion, right? Like nuclear fusion power. This thing could potentially actually break like how to do it. Like that's totally possible. That maybe not Mythos, but the one after possibly. Like, but still, like you got to release the agents and the models in order for it to maximize the value that it can provide for society. So I don't know. I'm very excited to put my hands on that thing, even though it's supposed to be like 5 times more computationally expensive. So we'll see. But I'm excited to try it
because they want to make money on this. It doesn't make sense. So do you think what they'll do maybe is say, not instead of release it, they say, hey, give us your code base and we'll run Mythos on it for you and give you the audit or something?
They could go that direction. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I wonder if maybe there'll be a thing because they've already been validating open source software. They found thousands of bugs. They found a bug in OpenBSD, which is a Linux distribution that's been sitting there for 27 years. And no human has found this major 0-day exploit for 27 years. And Mythos found it in like a relatively short period of time, which is kind of shocking. You know what I mean? It's kind of amazing how effective and efficient it is. So maybe they'll do that. Like maybe we can send them an email and say, hey, here's the Thornode code base or our GG18 implementation or even the Frost, thing we were just talking about earlier, and say, hey, run Mythos at this thing and let me know if there's anything of significant value or whatever. Right. I don't know. We'll see how they're going to roll it out. But like it's definitely going to come out because you have these 2 people or 3 maybe with Gemini, but you have Anthropic and OpenAI, both with their super advanced models that are 5 to 10 times bigger than the previous model. Supposedly it's 10 trillion parameter model, which is like gargantuan. Like I can't wrap my brain around how large that is of a model, which is why it's so expensive to run inference. But they both have these models, their own version of that, and they want to release it because whoever releases that model first, like you're winning. You will win all of the money until the other guy releases his version of the same model. Like if Spud were to come out right now, nobody would use Opus anymore. Assuming it's not like prohibitively expensive, but like nobody would want to use Opus because it's like, not nearly as good as what this new Spud thing is from OpenAI. So it's like, it's a guarantee win, especially if like you're OpenAI, because Anthropic just surpassed OpenAI in revenue for the first time in the history of this whole AI battle going on, right? So like they're going to want to do something to get, to get back ahead or whatever, right? And Spud is like the perfect thing. In fact, like they've already spun down most of their side projects, right? Like Sora got canceled, right? And Sora, they spent 20% of their, I think it was like close to 20% of their compute was to Sora, but they only made $2 million total in revenue on Sora because like nobody's really using it. They were hoping Hollywood would get excited about it and start producing movies and whatever else, but that just didn't happen. Yet they were spending $1 million per day to keep Sora going. But now they're just like, we have a limited compute. We have this new model that's like hyper expensive computationally to run. We just got to like clean house and just put all of get super narrow, get super focused. But you're not going to do that unless like you're going to release it to the public and make boatloads of money off of it. So I can't imagine it not being released. I appreciate Anthropic and OpenAI being measured about it and not just like releasing a nuclear bomb with materials, into the world and then like waiting to see what blows the fuck up from it. But, at some point you got to release it. Otherwise it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're just building advanced AI models that nobody can use. What? What's the point? Like you're just building models for yourselves, and I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So, in order to maximize the profit and maximize the good in the world, and also potential downside, obviously as well, you have to release it.
Well, I hope the Treasury gives you a blank check on paying for whatever the next model is, using it, because
Well,
as
we
soon as
have
these
to. Like, we don't have a
You
choice
have
in this
to,
matter.
yes.
exactly, we have to.
Yeah, we don't have a choice. We have to run it against from a security, just
Yes.
from like, even if it's like a one-time security check, whatever. Not so much like maybe not using Huygens as its primary model, possibly because it's just too expensive. But just to do a one-time use security thing, sure.
Well, not even no, it's got to be ongoing. Like we're already at that point where, if you're a business from an investor point of view, if if you're going to invest in some company, you talk to the management team and they're like, oh yeah, we don't use AI. I'm not going to touch it. And it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to invest in you. Like, we're at that point where even if it doesn't make a difference to your business, you got to say you're using it just to check off the box, right? But for us, obviously it is making a difference, and it'll continue. So THORChain has to be saying they're using it, and otherwise that'd be bad press for us.
Well,
if we
it
don't.
depends on how it's released and who has access to it, and like maybe it is overtly expensive and we can't even afford it, right? Like that's possible. Like I don't know what they're gonna do, but you never know what's gonna happen. So we'll wait and see how this release is gonna be. It may not just be the same as other releases where they just release it and you can just start using it in Cloud Code or in Codex immediately, and there's got to be a separate subscription, or it has to be done through an API keys, which cost tokens and
I
huge amounts
wonder.
of money.
I just thought of this. Before I say this, like I'm a total free market capitalist. You guys, I believe in open markets and competition. I don't believe in regulation, but I'm wondering if there might be like some kind of antitrust laws for AI, so that the government might decide, it's not right for one company to have this super AI. They got to make it a public good. Everybody has to have it, type thing. Kind of like water. Water is a fundamental human right. We all got to have access to fresh water, drinking water. I wonder if governments might start thinking about that by AI. That if a few companies keep making these AIs and decide to just keep it for themselves, and they start, it'd be like hoarding all the water in the country, and it'd be like, they got to break it up. They got to, distribute it, socialize it. I'm wondering if we're getting to that point where they might force companies to release AI and everybody has to have equal access to them so that we're all on an equal playing field.
I mean, so
Um,
I would say that there's enough companies doing it, at least American companies doing it, and China's doing it well. They're using open source weighted models with a lot less compute. So I don't think there's a concern about being a monopoly of some kind, right? Or of that. I think the bigger concern from a government regulation perspective is that, okay, you have these companies that are producing effectively a nuclear weapon, a weapon that can break into theoretically almost any infrastructure that it chooses to. It can find exploits in every operating system and browser in existence, because it's already found thousands in every single operating system and browser in existence. That becomes an extremely effective tool of launching international war, right? Like we forget, but like cryptography itself, the idea of being able to encrypt something was at one time considered to be a municipality of military. It was considered to be a military weapon, and it was illegal for civilians to wield in cryptography or just encryption itself. It didn't change until like the late 90s, but that started in World War II with the Enigma machine by the Nazis had, and that having that ability to encrypt our communications was like a key component of comms within military strategy and warfare, and that's why it was pulled into as like considered to be a military weapon, which means civilians cannot wield it. Now you have a situation where it's like, it's not the government's creating this cryptography or whatever. It's now private and industry, and there's lots of people doing it, not just OpenAI, but also Anthropic and Gemini. And how they're doing it is not a secret. There's no secret sauce. We all understand what's happening here. It's neural networks, looking at huge amounts of text and estimating what the next word is going to be by mathematical analysis. Like it's not even like a secret sauce here. It's like it's an open secret of what this is and how it functions, and and every major computational scientist in the world is more or less trying to find optimizations and improvements to the model we have now, and a open and scientific process by publishing white papers and research and this kind of thing. So it's not so much about monopolies in my mind. It's more of like, we've never seen a time in history where private industry was producing something that is considered to be a very effective weapon that could topple like entire governments theoretically just by attacking infrastructure, turning off the friggin' internet, attacking power plants, right? Like, could we attack Iran right now, and instead of blowing up their power plants, we shut them down and they can't turn them back on or something like this? Like, that's actually kind of feasible. It's actually just like with the what was the name of that exploit to the Iranian polar nuclear power plant years ago. It's not the I love you virus, it's something else. I forget the name of it, but there was a specific virus created for a specific computer in the in the world, and it got duplicated to millions and millions and millions of computers, just looking for one specific computer which controlled the cooling of a power plant, and it fucked up the cooling and it caused the power plant to basically melt down more or less, right? Like that was one of the most famous and significant viruses ever created, and now we can have have Joe fucking Schmo Boone in his fucking basement creating a virus that can turn off the Iranian power plant.
Don't give him any ideas.
Don't
give
give
him
me
any
ideas. Earmuffs, Boone, earmuffs.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but I'm also not joking as well, because these tools are that powerful, and it's like there's a reason why these AI companies have to be very cautious about how they roll these things out, because it is an overt danger to society, but it's also an overt revolution for society as well, and it will be an inflection point. Like there are these moments in human history where it was major inflection points. The first time we had written language about 5 to 10,000 years ago. The first time we had a computer was the 1940s, and the first time we had computer communications, the internet, in the 1990s. Like it's just like the speed of how we have these major turning points that just revolutionize our societies in such significant ways. And this one, in my opinion, if it goes the way that I think it's going, it's going to be the biggest game changer at all, because it's going to solve all of our problems: climate change, cancer, Huntington disease, every medical condition that you could possibly think of. You could generate a protein on demand to solve whatever unique thing that is even within your own specific body that you have that nobody else has. How about a universal vaccine that affects all viruses from it being able to enter and infect your body? That's totally on the chopping block here. That could totally happen. Like, this is like I don't think people realize it. People talk so much about how AI is going to destroy society and we're all going to lose our jobs. Well, Skynet's coming, and I get where they're coming from. I don't share that perspective. I'm more like in the inverse side of like, you guys have no idea how important this is and how it's going to revolutionize our societies. And like, nobody's going to get sick anymore, right? We're going to have access to goods and services that are extremely cheap. The quality of life is going to increase exponentially over the next 10 years in ways that we've never seen before. Like, people have no idea how exciting this is. They're so locked up in movie land where everything's there out to destroy humanity. And I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like, I think it's much more likely that it's going to be extremely positive for society. It's not going to have no downsides, right? Like, the internet was extremely positive for society. Of course, you have social media and bubbles, internet bubbles that people are in, and being idiots by not understanding that the earth is not flat, you dumb fucks. Like, there's so many bad things about it as well, but like, overall, the internet was a gargantuan shift in the way we operate as a society, creating new jobs and opportunity and GDP growth and invention and all sorts of stuff, communications, relationships, everything across the entire spectrum. And we're going to go through that again, but on a hundredfold of importance and significance.
So am I a narcissist for thinking all of that you just said hinges on our ability to separate economics from the state? So is THORChain one of the most key parts of that, because in order for pharmaceutical companies to want to invent protein, I guess if you empower the average person, they can do it themselves, make proteins. But we got to fix the money, right? So
money is money is one of the most important things in human society, right? Like it is 1/2 of every transaction that occurs in any human society. Like there's nothing nothing larger or more important than money itself, right? Like even like religion, I would say is probably smaller than money. So yeah, what THORChain is doing and what crypto in general is doing is absolutely massive and revolutionary inherently by itself. But I would also say that like AI is also hugely revolutionary and it will change things in ways that we can't even imagine. I mean, right now, every biologist in the world is using AlphaFold. All of them, or close to every single one of them. Almost every drug that's going to be invented from here on out will have used proteins folded by AlphaFold. That is the most useful utilization of AI that we've ever seen in our history, and I'm sure it's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. I mean, because no AI model can just make exogenous assets out of thin air, right? Like they need infrastructure for that, and so I just think all of these things coalesce together. Like you said, it's like one big catalyst, right?
They can get infrastructure if they want to. They can pay as soon as you give AI USDC or Bitcoin, it can acquire whatever. Even like if it needs to deliver a package, it can go on TaskRabbit and pay some random schlub out of Fulton County, Georgia, to deliver some package from point A to point B. Like I very much don't underestimate them. There are no limitations to AI. That's the thing I want to say because I'm trying to get it. It's like whatever you think AI can't do,
you're wrong.
You're wrong. Doesn't mean it's not easy. Right? Like we're gonna have AI, fixing pipes, like plumbers. It's not easy to accomplish that. It's actually very technically complex. But you're undervaluing the exponential like climb of how AI is going to move and how fast it's going to be. Once you get to that recursive self-improvements that we're heading towards, every company's working to build. You're talking about that the growth of AI is only limited to the amount of electricity that you can produce or the amount of GPUs that you can throw at it, which is, let's remind ourselves, is like $1 trillion worth of GPUs for fuck's sake. And you're going to have millions of agents all doing work trying to improve itself in such a speed that like we just cannot compute in our brains about exponential. Like no human on the planet actually understands what it means to be exponential. It's like everything seems like it's impossible until the day before it's possible, and all of a sudden it's fucking obvious. Dario Amodei did that 9 months ago when he predicted that 90% of code would be written by AI agents. Everybody laughed at him at that time. Right now it's blatantly obvious. Now Google just changed their timeline of when quantum computers will be able to break ECDSA or other kind of cryptography or RSA cryptography. Now it's down to 2029. They're guessing because they can do it with half the number of qubits than they previously thought. And you have to remind yourself that like even solving these difficult problems of quantum computers, AI can do that shit. It's smarter than you are. Even now, we've already seen cases of people, humans, professionals, brilliant people working on problems of mathematics or physics for months, and they just throw it on ChatGPT or whatever, and like a few hours later, oh, here's a solution. And it's like a brand new solution. It wasn't trained in that data. It wasn't already solved elsewhere in its history. It wasn't just sitting in the weights of the model. It just figured it out and wrote some code and tested this. And here's an idea. Okay, hey, it worked. And that's like remarkable. That it has the creativity to solve problems that we humans struggle to do. So like as this AI becomes incredibly smart, and Mythos is just like the next major step, but there's going to be more in the next few years, and that's going to solve the problems of quantum mechanics, of quantum computers rather. It's going to solve the problem of cold fusion. It's going to solve the problem of climate change. It's going to solve the problems, like every problem we have that's limited by math or science. It's very good at finding the solutions to those things, and we'll be solving almost all of those things in the next 10 years.
That's crazy. No, I will. And I mean, it's like the whole quantum entanglement thing. Like, there's like two competing visions. I'm not an expert, guys, but I'm doing my best, where you have the multi-world theory, like Sean Carroll's a big advocate of that, where like we exist on like above a substrate, right? It's like quarks popping in existence. It's like, it's transitionary. Like, I don't know if you guys seen Carl Sagan's like Flatland. Have you ever seen that video where if you live on a 2D world and you have a 3D object, it's incomprehensible what's going on. So,
Yes.
do we exist like the quantum entanglement is just something that's within our own reality, within our own universe? These are very nuanced questions. I think you're right, Chad. I think AI is going to help us, or actually be the solution to figure this out, because this
Right.
is just
It
so
it,
complex.
it is going to be the solution.
Yeah.
I think I said this before, but like we're going to get to a place where making scientific or mathematical advancement is so difficult and complex. Our little like carbon-based neuron brains are just so limited that it will not have the capability to achieve the goal. But we have a near infinite supply of like GPUs of like massive models that have incredible amounts of compute, much more than our brains are capable of doing. And it's going to solve things that we would never be able to solve, or at least solve it extremely slowly, right? We're going to have like, as Dario says, a country of geniuses in a data center. Did you think it was like millions of Einsteins just sitting in there with infinite amount of time, in compute power to sit there without needing to sleep or eat and just, you know, ponder on the big questions of the universe, of like the origins of space-time itself, from the the Big Bang to the origins of life itself, right? And how we actually got from organic molecules to self-replicating, genetic RNA, right? Or something like this. Like, this stuff is going to be, in my opinion, will be solved in the next 10 to 15 years. Maybe not those specific questions. Those are, quite difficult to prove, but in general, like a lot of things that we now deem to be very difficult are going to be solved in a short period of time. Relative.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Oh my, I could keep going on this conversation. We do have a question from the audience. Woo, this is a crazy one, you guys. I'm loving this slide. We have a one question here I want to put on here. It says, Chad, oh no, hang on, sorry, that's wrong. Go up. Okay. The new XMR support code that Luke wrote, has anyone audited yet? Would the folks at Monero be able to test and help with the audit, I'm assuming, or the integration of THORChain, if you want to take that one?
To be honest, I don't know. I believe it's not been audited at this time. I'm not quite sure. It would require a conversation with Luke or the Monero team. We may have we do have a cryptographer on our team that is quite good and capable, and we might have that person take a gander and look and read through it all. But to my knowledge, it has not been an audit at this point in time.
I know somebody, I'm not going to say who they are. They are thinking about reaching, or they have already reached out to the XMR community to see if there's a dev who would be willing to assist THORChain. Don't quote me on that, guys, but hopefully, it wouldn't help. Just more eyes looking at something, or I don't know, maybe more cooks in the kitchen is a bad thing, but they are that, I would assume those are the cryptographers you would want, right? But I'm so happy to hear we have a cryptographer on our team. So that's really cool. I didn't know that, actually. That's really cool.
I
Yeah,
gotta
we
look
do.
up.
I think they're actually focusing on DKLS in this particular moment, and figuring out our game plan on switching from our own cryptography of GG20 to DKLS. But we could get that person on it if we want to.
I had somebody else in my DMs about it. I gotta just message him again. Maybe it's the same person, Denny. I don't know. I'm gonna reach out to him so I don't forget.
Yeah, I do. There's also another question, Chad, and this is actually from last week. So this is my fault. I didn't get asked, but let's just switch to Zcash here. So, we're adding Zcash as well. Maya Protocol has already Zcash. And I don't know if this is true. Just don't, it's just a question someone asked me is, Star Squid's doing his own implementation. I don't know, maybe it's building on the work Maya's done, or he's changing it. They were just curious why we're not borrowing Maya Protocol's implementation directly, if there was some nuance there that's different on THORChain. So I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have a clear view of why that is. Like, Star Squid and I had a conversation about this months ago, and I just kind of left it. And he's the one that kind of feet in the ground on this particular topic, and so I just like, I'll give you the space to investigate both options and figure out what the better option is. He's made the choice in that particular direction. We could find that maybe that wasn't a good choice and change it later. Like, it's not a big deal either way.
Okay.
To be clear, is Zcash actually technically next? that's going to be the next
Yeah,
token that
we
goes
should.
live?
So we're aiming to get Zcash live on mainnet by the end of April.
I love your attitude about getting more chains. I couldn't agree more. And it's funny because we've been kind of. I guess Solana was a big deal to finally get it done, but it took us so long that I think it just fell flat. I feel people are way more excited about Monero and Tau. It's kind of a shame that we've got two tokens that people are really excited about at the same time. It's like kind of like two blockbuster movies you really want to see opening on the same night. And
Yeah.
it's like, can you just separate them a bit? But
We're trying to do them in parallel. We're trying to get them both done at
yeah,
the same time.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
just do it. Get them both done. Absolutely. Both
Yeah.
done the same day, fine, the same release. But I hope the Monero doesn't put the Tau launch in the shadow either, because I think that'll be just as exciting for the Tau community anyway. Maybe it actually be good cross pollination, cross promotion, that when the Tau people find out about THORChain, they'll find out about Monero at the same time too.
Mhm.
And if they're into Monero, that much better, right? So
Yeah, sure.
that's just exciting. This is actually you're right, Danny. Like after that the Tau podcast, and then the news about Monero, like my Twitter feed is like gone. It's just exploded. Like people are excited. People are talking about this, and they're tagging, and they're interested. Like, I've gotten some new followers out of it. Like, this is great. This is good. This is good times, you guys. It's nice
Yeah.
to see this.
And I just, again, JP, anyone, I know you're obviously listening, Chad, like, I hope you feel like fire. I saw JP was working on it on Easter. And then like the
Yeah.
day before, he was like, he grinded like, I think it was like 6 or 8 hours. I don't even know. And I was just like, I'm like, holy crap. Like, you could just tell the energy's there. So man, the community is just like, go boys, go, go. Like it's freaking nuts, Chad, in Telegram. Like people are like all caps and just like dancing memes and just like, it's wild, So dude, it's incredible. It's euphoria. It's absolute euphoria. Like people feel it. They know this is the big one. This is the big one, right? Like privacy. That has always eluded us. Well,
Yeah, we've always wanted. I mean, I've always advocated strongly for it. I don't even really care about the volume necessarily. It's just, it's bringing something new to the protocol that we haven't had before. And technically, Zcash brings it as well. We don't have shielded addresses in our first implementation of Zcash, but nonetheless, Monero has always been a great protocol, right, and a great project, and I'm happy to see it finally land on THORChain.
okay, I need to calm down, you guys. This
Is
is just
there
blowing my mind.
is there anything, I'm trying to think, is there anything else newsworthy about THORChain we need to chat about?
Well, one thing I could say is, so I've been working a little bit on Hugin this week, and the two things that I'm working on now, when I have spare moments, is I'm integrating multiple models into Hugin's code base. So it has Claude, Codex, and Gemini, and I can use these three different brains to look at the same problem and reach a consensus about, is this a real bug or, a hallucinated, artifact of non-reality. And so that's just going to help us, produce a higher quality, output from Hugin's, reviews of code or whatever. It's not live quite yet. The code is done. There's a merge request that I haven't merged quite yet, but it's getting close to that. I think that's going to be a good improvement. And it's actually like, I really kind of needed to do, because Anthropic had like cut their quotas in half for the subscriptions, and so I find myself running into hitting the caps, more frequently now than I was before. And so by doing this, it actually will actually reduce the amount of usage of the Claude's model, and it'll free up some space for me to continue the work that I'm that I'm trying to do anyway. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I started to poke at, although I didn't get very far, of building infrastructure or a binary, a daemon to continuously monitor Thor node and its logs, its events, its metrics, its whatever, and then surface weird behaviors, mathematical anomalies or whatever, into a Discord channel, and then Hugin will subscribe to that Discord channel, and then analyze, do it like a in-depth triage, if you want to call it that, to see if there's anything like a larger issue here or a larger problem. Again, using all three models, like a tri-brain, if you want to call it that, or a committee, to figure out whether that's a real bug or it's unusual, yes, but not a big deal or whatever, and kind of help us monitor the network in real time, and that would be pretty awesome.
I do. So I think this is sort of answered already. I've had multiple questions, but Chad, we've kind of been answering just through the natural progression of our conversation. But somebody wanted to bring up the point. Let me bring it up here about the speed of which we're doing chains. And so I'm going to preface this knowing that you basically said, we're doing them as pretty much as fast as we can. But the question is like, okay, so it's the scheduling. Like we do things in blocks, right? We have the new releases, and they're wondering if waiting a month for a scheduled cadence gives competitors a chance to steal the first mover advantage and momentum. So basically the question is, should we push a chain client before a massive update just to get it going so we can get the process starting? Because I know we have it really structured. Like maybe your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, when we launch a new chain client, it's not just a Bifrost change, it's also a Thor node change. And that release cadence of that is like 6 weeks currently. So, which is why I'm trying to move towards a more parallel mentality of like launching multiple chains at once. But and it's nice because we have AI to help us and be more productive as engineers to produce more code or whatever. But we still can't lose track of quality, right? And the faster you move, kind of by nature, you have less quality. That's going to change over time, just because AI is going to get smarter and it's going to get better, and it's even going to get faster, like its ability to produce how many tokens per second or whatever it is. So that'll improve over time. But I would argue that, like, with the exception of Monero and Tau, there's not really any other chain out there that would really warrant putting the gas, all the way down to the floor, to launch, because like, how many people are dying to see Sui be added to THORChain, right? Or not to shit on Sui, of course, but this is not that much interest, so it doesn't really warrant reallocating engineering resources to something like that. We have other things we're trying to get done and launched, and I literally have like a list in front of me of like of roadmap of like 11 items that I have planned for the protocol, and then that's not including the things we're currently working on, like ADR 24, for example, has to get merged, and part of 318, and zero conf BTC trading and intents, and all the other kind of things that are ongoing, and also just like maintenance too. Like the mainnet sometimes has problems. Sometimes funds get stuck and we have to get, knock them loose or something like this, or churns get stuck or something like this. And so like that requires engineering time and effort to refocus to fix those things. So the thing I think people like miss out, I hear this all the time from the community, or just like not just specific to THORChain, but just like in general. They're like, oh, the team should be building this or doing that. And it's like, whenever someone says that, it's like they always forget that like we have limited resources. We only have so many devs and so much hours in a day and so much this and so much that. We're not a project that has $500 million, like others do. And oftentimes even just adding more devs doesn't necessarily mean more productivity. Sometimes it means even less in some cases. So like whenever people comment and say, oh, what the team should be doing is building this and they should be building that, I'm just like, that all sounds great on paper, but like there's just not enough time and resources to do all that, so we just have to be very specific about what is our priority. What are we going to reallocate time and energy from in order to focus on whatever the thing is we're talking about.
And you know what? If people are restless, maybe give the boon mentality and just get your hands dirty and get in there if you've got some skill. You
Absolutely,
know?
it's an option.
I keep getting the same thing. Well, I should be doing this, should be doing that. Well, one is money, limited funds, so you have to pick and choose. And the other one is just, time or bandwidth. And like, I have some people come to me with all these ideas and they're all great. Actually, almost everyone's ideas they come to me with are really good. But I'm like, guys, I don't need ideas. I need solutions. Come to me with how you're going to do this for me. Like, I can come back at you with 100 other ideas that are, just as good. But it's like, ideas are worthless. It's execution where there's a value. And like, um, yeah, everyone can be an armchair quarterback. Oh, you should be doing this, should be doing that. But meanwhile, you're 300 pounds laying on the couch and you can't even run 10 yards, right? So it's
Yeah.
easy to be telling the players in the field what to do. So yeah,
Yeah,
get
well,
in the
you want
arena, you guys. Help us do these things. Help come with the idea, but also bring the solution. And if you feel that strongly about your idea and it is good, then like we can help make it a reality, right? Like if it's, you have like, hey, I can do this, I can do that, get it done. I just need this little bit from you. Okay, now we're talking. Now we can move. But if it's like, here's an idea, but you got to spend the next 3 months doing it, but I expect it to be done in 3 days. It's like, well, we have to be realistic with some of these things. Um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's like my previous profession, like one thing a skill I had is I would have a problem, but I would not go to my supervisor, my superior without the solution already thought of, right? That's just, if you do that, that's just a great thing. Like we had an oxygen scaling problem, like we switched buildings and we had more oxygen outputs, but we had the same storage. And so like, okay, well, I told my, I will order different size bottles, bigger bottles, and I'm going to put a bracket in there and put another, and, I solved a huge problem, right? So guys, come, get your hands dirty, like no one loves the guy like watching a sports game and they're screaming at the TV. They're 400 pounds. They got Cheeto dust all over their titties. Like, throw the ball. Like, that doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? They can't hear you and you got Cheeto dust on your boobs. Like, you're a mess, right? Like, help us. Put your hands in there. Get dirty, right? So, yes, absolutely.
Did you guys hear about the guy went to the doctor because his dick was orange? And the doctor's like, "What?" They're trying to figure it out, He's like, "What do you do all day?" He's like, "Well, I watch Jeopardy and eat Cheetos." Uh,
Oh, you're kidding. You're not. You're bullshitting right now. Is that real?
it was a
What
joke. It's a
the
joke. It's
Okay.
just like,
Oh, dude.
I guess I should have said Jeopardy. I should have said football to go. Sorry, I screwed up
There
my
you
own
go.
joke. But yeah, the
I,
joke
it would have
originally I
been
heard it had
Wheel of
Jeopardy.
Fortune would have made more sense because if you had Vanna
Yeah.
White, at least you got Vanna White up there turning numbers around, letters
I
rather.
should have said football. It would have fit more with their conversation. But seriously, like, and I don't mean, and if someone comes to me with actual solutions, like, I'll pay for it. Like, this isn't a question about you guys doing stuff for free either. Like, um, that's what, uh, yeah. So anyway, yeah, please work on solutions, guys. Ideas aren't good enough. Help us actually implement them.
Yeah, because like all of us are pretty busy. Chad, you're going 100%. I'm going 100%. Ken's going 100%. Like community management, like all my DMs, it's just nonstop. And so it's like, I just don't have it is just so much work. And I hope my job my metric is if people are calm, the community's happy and stable, then I'm doing my job correctly. So I'm focused on that. I do all this extra stuff. I do as much as I can, guys. But it feels good. So when you guys get active, I'm telling you, it makes you like working for your bags. It feels good. I don't know. I love it. It's just like, yes, I'm
Well,
doing something and
and
anything helps.
I should caveat what I just said. If you guys are on the swap interface, you find problems or whatever, suggestions for improvement, please tell me that. Like that's, I was talking more like in general, like
Yeah.
you guys find any issues on the website, please let me know. I need your help there. Well, I was actually thinking about that. Like, how do I introduce some kind of bounty for that? And I'm like, for any like mistakes or helps with the UI or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get inundated with a bunch of crap like you're seeing with your bug bounty, Chad. And I don't know how to price it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm saying this out loud,
I
guys.
mean, in that case, I would build AI that can use browsers and just start doing simulated trades and stuff like that, just to make sure.
Well, that so the Ensemble guys, we've talked about that. They're gonna do it. Actually, it's just a matter of like you said, it's just like
Just
we want to
time,
get more things
resources.
done on the
Yeah,
like when do we stop to build the AI agent, right? And then we got to
right.
stop working on the site. So it is in our short list of priorities to get this AI agent built so that it can do troubleshooting for us.
This is like the new thing about engineering that these days is that like you have 6 different tabs or 12 tabs of 12 different agents that are building 12 different things. It's like a new mentality. I mean, I find it stressful as hell personally, and I think every dev probably finds it very stressful because you're just like constantly changing, mindsets and, mental like context and just switching all the time, and it's like very discombobulating in some ways, and you can't just focus. And I find it very, very difficult to operate in that kind of way. I think, and I presume everybody does. I think it's just naturally just kind of a weird thing to do, but like it's hard. You're right. It's absolutely a hard thing to do, and to do all that. There's more things to build than there is time. Even with AI, that makes it so much faster and easier. It's still the case.
Well, God dang it, this live streams, this podcast has been crazy. With just this bomb. I mean, when we're saying Monero's coming on THORChain, we actually mean it. Like that's just blowing my mind. So very cool. Like Chad, I want to make sure. We're coming on an hour and a half here. Is there something else you've noticed you're working on? I love this multimodal AI agent thing you're working on, and thank you so much for being on top of this. Like this is the most important. Being on top of AI. Like I just got off a podcast, the Crypto Quorum, and that was a big thing. Like AI, you have to stay on top of this. This is the next security thing.
Yeah,
People are talking
you
about
got
quantum
to.
computing. They're like, no, AI first. You don't
AI
understand.
first. Quantum
Yeah,
computers is still theoretical. It's not real.
right,
In
exactly.
any kind of real way. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously working on the Hugo stuff. Um, I'm thinking again about 2-second block times, and I was chatting with the Maya team about them deploying it first. The reason why it's not deployed now is I was just a little bit nervous about deploying it because there's some weird, hard to predict downstream effect that I wouldn't have been able to guess beforehand, and AI probably wouldn't be particularly good at that particular task. And so I I asked Maya if they'd be willing to launch it first because they have a smaller chain and less at risk, and all that kind of stuff. And it seemed like they're pretty positive in their response to that. So hopefully we can see 2-second block times. I think that would be a good thing for the protocol. Later this year at some point.
That'd be great.
That's incredible. Yeah, this makes everything faster, right? Okay. Oh, what am I doing? What the heck? We mentioned at the very beginning we haven't talked about rapid swaps, dude. Rapid
Oh
swaps have
yeah,
been incredible. Oh my
yeah,
God, let me bring this up.
yeah. Bring up the
I got
dash.
so deep into friggin' Monero, I spaced it. So wow, did you see the biggest rapid swap is now $1.6 million?
Oh, that's awesome. What was
Wow.
the
Absolutely.
how much time was saved on that? Do you have it available in front of you, or just total for the day? Yeah. Yeah, Ray's got a good dashboard as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
it's great. Like it's going well. We still have it set to 2, like the minimum possible. And I'm just kind of waiting to see more adoption of it. Like I don't know if you scroll down, it tells you the percentage of volume for the day. The one on the left, I think it is for yesterday. What does that say?
Yeah, percent of
Yeah.
TC
What does that
volume.
say? What does that say
And you
there?
got to make this easier for us to
Almost
read
I'm
on a
50,
screen share.
almost 50% yesterday
sorry,
of
guys.
the.
This is not working. I'm sorry. Yeah,
There you go.
50% yesterday. Yeah.
That's pretty darn good. I mean, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for ARBs to kind of like, step in and start ARBing better, and up their game in a sense. And it seems like we're progressing in the right direction so far. So I think for me, I want to see like at least half the volume or half the trade volume or half the number of swaps to get there, and then we can up it from 2 to 3 and kind of
Yeah.
step it up. I was actually playing with the idea, and I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but I was just playing with the idea of the protocol arbing itself, right? Of just throwing some rune at the POL, taking some rune and more or less just arbing its own pools, using the Oracle price as the source of information, just to force the liquidity we want in order to arb the pools, but then also it takes the yield of that and potentially puts it into as a system income. But I know that Ruji is working on something that they've already launched it, but it's on like a small, I can't even think of the name of it, but they've launched some sort of concentrated liquidity / arbing kind of functionality on the app layer. And they're going to be like scaling it up over the next like month or so. And hopefully that will kind of do the thing that I want to see happen, which is basically let rapid swaps go ape wild. You know what I mean? Let it go crazy. And we can start seeing like, single block trades, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, this is crazy. So there was also, by the way, I think 3.17, isn't there like over 100, like
102,
PR?
yeah,
Holy,
102. Isn't that crazy?
That's the record, right? Because I think the other one was like 90 or 80 something. I don't remember it. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like it's in some ways it's more than that because Hugin started to like batch a bunch of different issues into a single MR, right? Just for efficiency purposes, and so like there's just like less for us to review as devs, and we can just churn through these issues faster. So technically, it's 102 MRs, but how many issues were closed? And it's like probably even more than that number. I'm curious to look. I'm gonna look while I'm kind of just chatting here, but like of how many MRs was Hugin and how many were non or regular human styles.
This, Kenton, I know, while Chad looks, I mean, it's obvious. This is becoming wild with the amount of output that THORChain is doing. And as this gets more sophisticated, man, I mean, just adding lots of chains and stuff. Kenton, are you bullish? I'm bullish.
Yeah. Well, it's I view AI as it's like a tool, right? And so it amplifies the user. So when you put a powerful tool in the hands of someone like Chad, it amplifies Chad, right? So
Yeah.
that's why we're getting so much output because, if we had a lesser person than
Yes.
Chad running this AI, we would have a quarter of this output, right? So,
Yeah.
right. So, I know how much you love Hugin, Denny, but Hugin is only as good as Chad.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. 100%.
So I'm looking. So Hugin did 34 of the MRs that were merged for 317, but looking at the MRs, like there's 3 right here that have like 9 GitLab issues for each of them. So that's like times 9, right? Times
wow.
4 issues, 4 MRs with 9 each, and then there's another. I'm just gonna eye it. I'm gonna say another 20 or 30 issues. So if you kind of dedupe in a sense, it's 34 actual MRs, but if you include the batches, then it becomes probably more than 60 or 70. I'd say.
Wow. So okay, is these are like just little fixes here and there, or are they getting more and more substantial, or maybe break that down a little bit? Or I know this is kind of a vague question for such a specific.
Are these P0s or P1s, 2s, 3s? Like, is it?
So they're all going to be either P0s or P1s because Hugin's not even looking for P2s or P3s. Like I specifically coded it in a way to like, if you see a P2 or lower, just forget about it for now. Like, let's just stay focused on like the higher priority things first and not really spend time or resources trying to fix low priority things or things that aren't that impactful. I also would say that like a lot of the things that it is fixing are miscalculations as well. Like it's saying it's a P1, but when it takes like a second look, it's actually closer to a P3. So it's kind of hard to kind of say. I would say the vast majority of them, for sure, the vast majority are like small issues, but sometimes it does find like really good ones. Like I noticed the other day there was a batch MR that one of our THORChain people kind of commented on and said like, wow, this is a good catch to Hugin. Where I think the problem was that of a priority of how we prioritize transactions to be processed in like the mempool, and prioritizing like either the churns first over swaps, for example. So that might cause problems with like churns not happening because we're getting the mempool like full of other transactions, or just not prioritizing correctly. So like there are some ones that are like that's not like a big issue. It wouldn't cause any significant problems necessarily, but it's a good catch. Most of them, like I said, like are smaller issues that just kind of cleaning up a lot of things, like taking the lower kind of monotonous work that humans like myself kind of hate doing because it's just not that fun, and it's kind of raising the bar. But every once in a while, it does find actually something of like quite significance, and it's impressive that it's able to find it, and fix it for that matter, without me even really doing much. That's one thing I find fascinating about Hugin, is that like I'm not even prompting anymore. Like we're entering a post-prompt world, of AI, where like it's just autonomously finding shit and then noting it, and then I just review it to see if it's valid or not, or if it's something that can't be a public knowledge or non-public knowledge, if it's like a security flaw. And like it just finds its stuff and then it just fixes itself, and I'll like that's the crazy part, right? Like we're all kind of excited for the day that humans don't have to be involved in this process, because all of a sudden, like, it's by far I am the limiting factor on Hugin, right? Like I am way too slow relative to what it's capable of, and I look forward to the day when Hugin can just kind of just do what it needs to do on its own. Obviously, we're not there today, and I doubt we're going to be there anytime soon, even with Mythos. But like, still, like that will be the situation at one time. I do believe that AI is going to be smarter than me, and more capable of a developer than I am. It's just a matter of time.
In terms of when you first made Hugin a thing back in December, January, to where we are now in April, how much of an improvement would you say this model is, just from just that 4-month time frame, in terms of capability, efficiency, or whatever parameter you want to use?
Yeah, I mean, like the model is getting better, right? We're going from Opus 4.5 into Opus 4.6, which is like that's going to be something that just happens naturally. But also, we've been tweaking like the prompts and the way that it does the security reviews, and kind of making little tweaks about that. And also, a lot of the tweaks is about like how it manages GitLab. And that sounds like a very silly thing, but like knowing when to respond to something and when not to respond to something, and how to respond to something. And these are little, like a lot of fine tuning things to get the behavior like just right, so that it's got the right kind of behavior in all scenarios, more or less, at least the best of our ability, and just let the model get smarter over time. One day Hugin will have Mythos or something like it, and all of a sudden it's going to be able to do much more complicated things. I did assign it tasks, like to do certain like jobs, but I generally don't do that at this moment in time. I'll usually like, Hugin by itself is not as capable as Hugin with me, right? Hugin by itself, meaning Claude, is not as capable as what I can do with Claude, like taking the best of both worlds and collaboratively building something together. So I wouldn't assign Monero, right, to Hugin to just build the Monero chain client. Like that would just be like way too early, and it probably wouldn't do that great of a job on the first instance. But I think as the models get smarter, which is a natural thing to occur, it's just going to get incredibly better on its own, and then over time we're going to improve its capabilities and improve its prompts, improve its context management, and all that kind of stuff.
You guys, I don't even know what to say right now. This is just fucking mindgasm after mindgasm on this podcast.
Mindgasm. I like
My
it.
cat,
If I can change the subject a bit, you guys.
go for it, brother.
ADR 23, burning the reserve, lowering the max supply. When is that? Is that going out?
3.17, right?
Is that going? Yeah.
That's a good question. I actually, off the top of my head, I can't remember. Is that already merged? Do I still need to do that one?
So. I think it's the next update, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's right.
It could be. I forget. I honestly, I cannot remember off the top of my head. But yes, that's going to be happening at some point for sure.
Okay. And then what about the system income that was going into the reserve, that when is that going to be paid out to the network? Is it in the same release?
Mean that when the reserve goes like has too much funds and
Yeah.
Over solvency? Okay.
that's already in the code now. We just got to flip it on, and I was waiting until we do the burn first of the
Got it.
reserve, and then once the burn is done, and we have like 9 million ruined in the reserve, whatever the number was supposed to be,
Yeah.
and then I'd flip it on at that point. And 318 will have the POL system income to POL merged for 318 for us to do that. So yes, we are shipping those things as we can. I was
Cool.
hoping to get that into this release in 317, but it's just not enough time. It got approved as an ADR or whatever, or at least discussed or whatever. A little bit too late, but
You talking about POL, the ADR 24?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It seems like that. Like, so that's happening. We're doing it, and I keep thinking about it because at first I was thinking, there's like the room price follows the volume on THORChain pretty well. And before I was thinking, well, I wonder if when the volume spikes, if money goes into the pools, and that's what helps drive up the room price. I'm like, well, if we get rid of the ability with yield, then there's no reason for anyone to deposit into the pool, so the pool doesn't grow. But I'm like, well, wait a second, the pool is growing with POL. So we have like this automatic growth of the pools with POL. And I'm like, man, maybe this is really the solution we need, like where we don't need exogenous capital anymore. We just grow our own liquidity,
Yeah, I think
lock it in. Yeah.
that's the thing to do is just like
Yeah.
instead of hiring mercenary capital, right? In a
Yeah.
matter of speaking, to be fair, like right, I mean, depends on how big this POL amount is. Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 0%?
20 guys,
Right?
let's do this. Let's get these numbers.
Let's call it
Yeah.
20 just for the sake of discussion. 20% right now is probably, I'm gonna guess, 200 grand a month. I'm gonna guess something like that.
Actually, I think a bit more actually. Well, actually would this, yeah. Okay, sure. Yes. Yeah.
Let's call it 200 grand. It's a reasonable guess. So we'd be dumping 200 grand into the pools every month, and that's not nothing. That's a good amount of capital, right?
No, for like, especially for the new pools.
That's two
Especially
chains.
for the new pools,
Yeah,
right?
we need that. Yeah.
So, and I know that like, I was talking to Ruggiero earlier today. They wanted to receive some of that POL income into this new arbitrage thing that I mentioned earlier, which I don't even know all the details to be able to explain it very effectively. You can have Pragmatic Monkey on the podcast later to go into depths. But he was asking if that's something we could do, and I was like, well, that's something we can take that to the community and do another ADR and see if there's any interest in taking some percentage of that system income of the POL and putting it towards this purpose so that it can arb the pools more effectively, and keep the pool price to the market price a lot closer and help in that kind of efficiency. It's an option. I'm not saying we're going to do it or whatever. Like it's up to the community to vote and, push it in whatever direction the community wants to put it. But it's just another way of using that capital, not just for the depth of the pool, but also to keep the price, precise and accurate.
Interesting.
It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Kenton.
go, Denny.
Oh, I was gonna say the POL thing. Dude, this is exactly what I've been thinking for a while. It's 100% correct. Like third-party contingencies, right? I think we had a small error in our thinking at the very beginning. I was an LP. I was the error. You don't want me. You don't want a human with my whim and my decisions. If it's protocol owned, it's not going anywhere. And it makes our investment in Rune such a more stable concept. You know what I mean? I was pretty diehard and reliable, but you shouldn't have to depend on that. Let's just have our own POL. And I agree with you, Kenton. The more we put in now, the bigger a return we're going to get later. And I don't think like $200,000, that's 2 new pools at $100,000 depth volume. Arbitrage volume goes up right away. Like this feedback loops, I think very quickly. We've always said the meme. Maybe it's not a meme. I don't want to be, but like a black hole, right? Like liquidity black hole. Maybe that's it right there. The POL. Come on.
Because well, I remember last year, like people are talking about floating the idea of burning half our revenue, right, to jack up the room price, and
It
which
wouldn't
I'm
do
like, well,
that.
it's not not Chad's favorite subject to burn. It's like I'm not like super against it, but it's like I feel like throwing our revenue into our own liquidity. This is a much better, bigger thing. Get this going. And then, if we get to the point where like we just our pools are too big, we just, it's kind of a waste of money adding to it. Fine, then maybe we burn the rune. But this feels like a much better, much more effective use of capital to help kind of like getting the room price up isn't going to necessarily kick off volume for us, right? We need to get we need, having more liquidity in some of these smaller pools should. So
But check it out. Like if you have all these exogenous assets and we put more and more rune into these pools when rune does go up, because that's just my opinion, don't know financial advice here. When it does go up, man, we're going to be sucking in all this exogenous assets from arbitrage alone. Like these pools are going to get super deep. So I'm super stoked. Someone had a question, Chad. They said, who's deciding where POL is directed? I said nodes, but maybe we would clarify. Is this like a simple majority Mimir vote, right? Like how we have a chain, like
Yeah. So
okay.
how this will work, this is how I'm planning it, is that instead of doing an ADR vote and we say, oh, we're going to put it into the Bitcoin pool or the stablecoin pool or this pool or that pool or whatever. I don't want to get to a place where just like we're like over managing, micromanaging this process. Like it just, I don't want to get, I don't want to thrash our nodes, right? Our node operators and just kind of like tire them out with monotonous tweaks and changes all the time. So what we do vote on, you vote on however percentage of the system income that you would like to see, go to the system income. So you can vote 0, you can vote 5, you can vote 4, you can vote 30, you can vote 100 if you wanted to. I don't think anybody would do that, but okay, you could. And then whatever gets the most quantity of votes basically is what the network's going to operate with, right? How that gets deployed into different pools is it evaluates over a rolling 24-hour period. It looks at how much revenue a pool has made, and it's divided by its depth. You get the kind of ratio between those two things, and you find the one that has the highest amount of fees and the lowest amount of depth. Like that's like the highest return. This is the words it's telling us that like a little bit of dollars in this pool would probably go the furthest in terms of providing more liquidity for the protocol. Naturally speaking, it's very easy for that to be the younger, smaller pools, right? Like Solana or Zcash or like something like this, because it doesn't take a lot of volume to equal even one, a 1-to-1 ratio between those two things, because it's just $100,000 in the Solana pool versus the Bitcoin pool. That's like the deepest pool by far. Yes, it also has the largest amount of volume, but as a percentage wise, I haven't looked. I don't actually know top of my head, but like I imagine it's nowhere close to something where Solana is, which is where we want the capital to be deployed anyway. So it's just like an autonomous algo kind of mentality of like where the protocol can analyze the pools and whichever one has the most, liquidity that can be added. The caveat though is some pools you can't add liquidity, like the Bitcoin pool, for example, like the LPing is just paused. So the POL can't enter into that particular pool. So it's obviously excluded from the equation. Other pools that are, that's not the case, it will just add into those. Right now, that's probably going to be anything that doesn't have a synth in it, which is basically the newer pools, which is where we want this capital to go anyway, right? Predominantly just Solana pool and the Zcash pool and the Monero pool and the Tau pool, and those are probably the ones we want to be deploying to in any case. I think another one would be good be the stablecoin pools, but that's probably not going to happen just because of the pause on LPing and all that kind of stuff. That might change. Like we could get to a point where we can say, hey, we want to, start adding to those other pools, and we have to create, a second pool unit mechanism to separate, liquidity in this pool is like before this time and after this time, right? And we could do that, and I can play with the math and try to figure out how to make that work in a way that makes sense and is mathematically clean. But for starters, I think it's fine as a V1 kind of release, just to stay focused on those pools for now. And adding like a few $100,000 to those pools would be like orders of magnitude, improve its efficiency.
Yeah. And again, we have limited, even though 200 grand a month, that is a good number. It's still limited. So it's going to take time for these non-synth new pools to get big enough to where they don't need any more liquidity. And by the time we get to that point, then we can look at these synth pools and maybe we do need to reevaluate. But I really hope we don't have to create some parallel pool without synth units. Like hopefully the room price is high enough that we can just get rid of synths altogether and just be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My instinct tells me that's what will happen. I mean, like Monero going live. I mean, come on, right? Absolutely, brother.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we're working on it. You can't tell. We're no shortage of effort from this community. That's for sure. 100%.
But it is our superpower, is our revenue, right?
Yes.
And so it's what most cryptos don't have. And now we can use it for our own liquidity and help drive up our own volume. Yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
I had this idea years ago. I think this is like 2023 of a different way of LPing. I'm just throwing this out there because I think it'd be just a fun topic to discuss. I'm not actually proposing this for THORChain. I don't think we could probably do it for THORChain. I think you'd have to start anew, I think, to do this most likely. But I had this funny idea that like if you had a protocol like a THORChain, but if you wanted to like invest into it, like buy the effectively like the Rune token, you wouldn't be able to acquire the Rune token at all. The Rune token does not exist outside of its pools, right? So you can't buy it and you can't sell it. So if you want price exposure to it, you got to LP, right? And that way, everybody who wants to get the benefits of this protocol and all the everything, the yield, but also the trading volume and whatever, that means that the depth of the pools is equal to the market cap of the Rune token. You know what I mean? In a sense. And that way you always have super deep pools because everybody has to be an LP who's holding the token effectively. Right. And then you have like lots of like arbitrage volume and just lots of trading happening just naturally because, like what is the market cap of Rune right now? Like I don't even know what it is.
150?
150? Yeah, 150 millions. Like that would be, I'm not, what is it, 50 million total in the pools now? Or I have no idea. I haven't looked in many months. I don't know the foggiest, but like it's probably orders of magnitude more, and you would have had all this liquidity in there just to provide more efficiency, for that protocol. I don't know how you could actually, if you wanted to make this change, I'm not saying I want to or anything like this, but just like, I don't think you could make this change because you'd have to get everybody who has Rune to like give it up and become an LP, which would be like a really, really hard uphill battle for obvious reasons. You know what I mean? But I just had this funny idea a few years ago and I was like thinking to myself, like, now that I've like built THORChain and I've learned a lot, you know what I mean, in the process of building this and maintaining this protocol, like it's a funny thing as an engineer, like when you go sit down, you want to build something, that's the moment you are the dumbest to build the thing because you haven't built it yet. You haven't learned what you're going to learn in the next 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, whatever. Like that's the dumbest time to do it, but that's what you have to do it. So like, I kind of thought to myself, like if I were to start anew and create an entire new THORChain protocol from scratch, like what would my lessons be like? What were my lessons I would want to change with the protocol? And that was one of the ideas that I had, among a few others as well, of course. But like that was one of the concepts, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it, But that ship has sailed in the THORChain world. We can't do that.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, next time you ever build something again, just ask the AI if it's a good idea or not. Oh man. Well, we're coming on an hour and 50 minutes, you guys. Real last shout out to the community. Any questions? This has been a banger podcast. Having so much fun with you guys. But wow, this has just been really great. Is there anything else, guys, that you feel like we haven't covered? I've gone through my gauntlet of questions. A lot were already just answered through the natural course of this conversation.
Yep.
So Kenton, do you got anything at all? Oh, BTC Las Vegas, you guys got to make sure we always show that April 27th, 7 p.m. We don't have the venue yet, but RSVP. We have to link
get
up
on
there.
it. Try and get something.
It's at your penthouse, right? You must
Yeah.
bring tight pants and a hooker. That's right. That's the entry. That's the entry fee.
That's right. Yeah.
Kenton, I'm thinking a lot of people are going to show up to this thing. Okay, we have a number, but I think a lot of people are going to come. So, and I hope
More the merrier.
Well, of course. That's what I'm trying to. I got to find a venue where I can, give them X, but hopefully can grow to Y. And so we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna try and. So I gotta pick something here. I gotta get it done. So I'll try and get it done here before next Thursday. But when I went through the RSVP list and added up everyone's plus ones, I got to 40 people. And then so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll make it 50, for some stragglers.
Probably more.
Well, this is what's hard is like, okay, well, I'll see. I'll see what I can do. But it'd be good to know.
We should do a pool party, right? Pool.
Ha!
Right? You have to wear either a Rune hat or a Bitcoin hat or an XRP or whatever it is. You're in the pool.
That's all you wear, just the hat, nothing else.
Well, actually,
join the THORChain pool.
That's actually a good idea. I just give me an idea for a side event for another. Like we could have all of us be THORChads. We have Rune shirts, and we invite people from other protocols, and so we have people from XRP, Solana, Tron, whatever, and it is like the pools. That's interesting. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Write it
down.
Yeah. Write that one down.
I am going to be.
We don't need ChatGPT, right? We can do this ourselves.
Exactly.
AI still doesn't. Yeah, we still got it.
That is my goal, you guys. Start doing side events at these conferences and let's have fun,
yes,
and get people talking about them and get people asking to be invited. Then, yeah.
Kenton, do you have are you guys planning on selling merch soon?
We've got 2 merch stores. So
is it a third party or is it from the
third
marketing team? Okay. Because
if somebody wants to,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say if you have a merch store, I'll buy from your merch store because it goes to the marketing budget, right? So, or I don't know.
No, this is Familiar Cow has one, and then a guy from the Ruji community, he's got one. So let me just, and I've got the links on the new site. Let me just find them here. But yeah, if somebody wants to make their own merch store or whatever, let me know.
Because somebody in the chat here is talking about, so we're going to have 50 hookers there. Not bad.
Yeah, it's me, Denny, and Chad, and 47 hookers.
I just have this imagery in my head of 50, half naked hookers, and then 50 super nerdy guys who are socially inept. It's like a scene out of that TV show like Silicon Valley or something like this. I feel like it's just.
Who you calling socially inept? I know how to talk to hookers.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
Man. Yeah, we're all trying to talk to them about economic doctrine and our theory and what we want to do, and they're like, you know what I mean?
that meme with the guy, he's at the basketball game, he's got his hand around the girl's neck, yelling in her ear.
I've seen that meme.
Yeah. I'll be asking the hookers, talking to hookers. We'll be paying the hookers to talk to them about THORChain. That's what we'll end up doing.
They'll be so bored.
Yeah.
Oh man!
I was in Malta. I had a layover. I had to get my visa for Libya when I was working there, and I'm just kind of wandering the streets. When was it? No, that's right. I went diving, and I met this guy. We're diving together. He's local. He's like, "Oh, Kenton, I'll show you around the town. We'll go out tonight." And of course, he takes me to the strippers. And I'm like, okay, great. And he goes, Kenton, this is what you do. You pay per song, but you talk to them. You don't let them dance. You just talk to them. He's like, trust me. And I'm like, all right. And so I do it, and he's doing it, and a few songs go by, and I'm like, I'm not getting it. He's like, and afterwards, he's like, yeah, they like that better. And I'm like, I don't understand. What was this? This is like,
who cares what they like?
Exactly.
They're not there for what they enjoy. They're there for what you enjoy. That's the whole point of the interaction.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't think they want to talk to us. They don't want to. I know they don't want to dance with us. They're just doing it because they're being paid. But in his mind, this was like he was like buttering them up or something to like maybe date them. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it was super weird. Um, but yeah, that was his game. That's his game with strippers, was talking to them.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was not a good game. Not a good idea, guys. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I read this book a while back called Modern Romance, and talks about how dating is in the modern age, basically, right? And one of the funny things is like it studied like dating in different countries and how we're like this socially different. And then Japan has a really odd thing of like they will pay women to go on dates with them, but not as like hookers for like sexual favors. It's just they're there to be agreeable, right? To not reject this man, because like so for whatever reason, Japanese men are just like they just do not approach women. They do not talk to women. There's like an overt fear of rejection that they just won't even take the risk. So that in order to address that fear, they like will pay a woman like just come to the bar. We'll drink beer. We'll have conversation. There will be no funny business at all. It's just going on a paid date and with no expectations of anything at the end of it. It's just to be there and be agreeable,
Well,
which I find kind of
so like
funny.
I've read that like high end hookers, they charge like 5, 10, 15 grand type deal. Half the time, most of the time, they don't even end up having sex. It's just the guy hiring them. It's just for the company. They just want
Yeah,
a
but
girl
but
to.
why pay $5,000 in that scenario? Like, why does I mean, I don't want like I don't know. You
Yeah.
must be ultra wealthy where you don't really give two craps about
Yeah, it's like 3 cents.
$10,000.
It's like pocket change,
If
nothing.
you're a multi-billionaire, I guess like $10,000 is like a can of Coke for you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a matter of speaking, I suppose.
Yeah.
Let's imagine there's like guys you can pay to like show up. You take a girl on a date and like the guy pretends to attack and you beat him up real quick. You know what I mean? To look like a hero or something. You know what I mean? It's like a
I,
male
I,
hooker somewhere.
I always feel bad for guys that pay and got it and want to do it. Like I don't get it. When you like a woman is like like a real woman who wants to hang out with you voluntarily is 100 times better than anything you could possibly pay for. So it really blows my mind that guys will spend
I
any
think for
money on
some
it.
people, it's like not that this is me or anything. Just be very clear about that. But for some people, it's just the lack of emotional responsibility or reciprocity. It's
Yeah.
like I think this is where we're heading, even like within like AI dating. It's just like I don't have to be weary about your thoughts or your feelings. I don't have to do emotional work, trying to listen to how your day was, whatever. I can be completely self-centered and selfish, and and that for some people, I can see why that would be attractive for some individuals out there. But it's like to your point, Kenton, it's like I think it's very very unfulfilling relationship, I would say.
Yeah.
And diseases. Lots of diseases.
No, AI is going to cover that already.
That's right.
That's right.
Have fun, guys. In 10 years, it'll all be cured.
It'll all be cured.
Yeah.
Please don't. Please, no one. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, we don't.
So you
we don't want to lose any
AI.
forecasts with syphilis. That's an ugly death.
So you.
I can just imagine somebody like suing me in 10 years. Like
Oh,
he
man.
said I could get syphilis and it would be fine.
You like take a picture of your penis as all disease and you give it to the AI. Make vaccine, please. I need. I need a protein synthesized right now. Shit. Oh,
Okay,
man.
well, so you guys think we're going to get a lot of big turnout then? Do you think we're going to get more people than RSVP? To the
I think we're gonna have both happen where people RSVP but they don't show up, and we're gonna have people RSVP and they bring like 2 more friends or whatever.
yeah,
Like it's very possible. Like when I'm gonna be in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin conference myself. I was at the Vegas conference for Bitcoin, and Randy will be there too. Randy, who's helping us with biz dev, and him and I will be running around just meeting people all day, and we'll probably just pull people in. Hey, we're having a party. Just come over and join us.
Okay. Okay, I'll think of a venue big enough, and then you and I, Randy, are in some group chats. We can invite some of those teams to come join us too. Probably a good idea. Now that I think about it, so okay.
So, Chad, Joel wants me to ask. He has a show tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. He needs a guest. He wanted to know if you were free. I know it's tomorrow, short-term notice, but he was wondering if you'd like If you could go up there. Joel from Dash. I just did the
Let me-
Crypto Quorum show with him.
Let me check my calendar. Yeah, that's okay. I can do it. I can do 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, Joel, did you hear that? Did you hear that, buddy? Are you excited? Yeah, he really wants to talk with you. So very cool. So you guys can hook up 3 p.m. I'm so sorry, 3 p.m. Eastern. Damn it.
3 p.m. Eastern. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a link or whatever?
Joel, give me a link. I'm gonna send it to Chad.
Yeah. Give me
Very
a
cool.
location.
Awesome. Cool. Very cool.
I'll
Well, there
join.
you go. There you go, Joel. We got you hooked up, buddy. Well, boys, we're coming on 2 hours right now. I think we'll wrap her up. What do you think?
Yeah, wrap it up.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you guys every month for your consequences. Yeah, Joel 3, he's got it. I messed it up. Sorry.
Wrap it up. Wrap up this podcast and also wrap it up when you're at the hookers in Vegas as well.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You guys, this has been an absolutely legendary podcast. I can't even begin to describe how freaking awesome this is. I'm so unbelievably excited. But you guys, just remember, guys, if you are interested in becoming a node operator for the first time that may likely in the near future offer non-KYC permissionless Monero swaps, real layer 1 to layer 1. Sounds pretty lucrative. I don't know. You guys reach out to @Runtard on X. He can help you get set up and find bond providers. We will get you going. This is something absolutely phenomenal that is happening, you guys. I cannot emphasize how powerful this is. Woo, my heart is racing, you guys. And also remember, we talked about today, THORChain data and insights. Follow @Ray Analytics on X. He does recaps of these podcasts. So if you're watching this, you want to know what we said before, you can wait for that. He usually does it in a day or two. He does it for free, guys, so please be patient with him. And always remember, guys, most importantly of all, the views expressed are solely of those of the hosts and guests, and any action takes based on this is on your information at your own risk. Past performance is not indicative of future results, or never is. This Saturday, guys, I think we're gonna have Boone. We had someone couldn't make it; they needed to reschedule, so I think we're gonna have Boone on Saturday. Why not? He's been doing great, so I'm looking forward to talking to him. And then the next week, I'm really excited for this one. Sal, the agorist, cypherpunk, disintermediator, cyber crypto anarchist, Rothbardian. We're going to have him on there. That guy is absolute legend. I love him on X, so I'm super excited. Kenton, I know you're getting moist on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to him.
Yeah, so we're going to have good on that one. But other than that, you guys, thanks for hanging out to this day. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.